Hey everybody, welcome back to Cool Stuff Etc. My name is Riley, and today we're in for another Hoobie 2. What have I been up to? And it's been a pretty packed couple of weeks. I have quite a bit to go through, so I'm just going to get right into it to not waste anyone's time. And as a reminder, if you're not aware, you can speed up videos on YouTube, so just throw me on double speed if you need, so I'm not wasting like 30 minutes out of your day. But anyways, we'll start with the movies and TV. I actually watched a bit of TV. I finished like some seasons of TV, which is unusual for me because I move through shows very slowly. But I finished the first season of Chainsaw Man. It took me like an extra couple of weeks because I stopped watching for a while. But wow, Chainsaw Man is a great show. Lots of great twists. The animation is awesome. The characters are really cool, and there's a lot of unique theming. It's an anime that, for me, like tonally, it's reminiscent of Evangelion. Lots of quiet moments, lots of character moments in between the action. The action is not like the focus, I would say. Although I think it's more action focused than Evangelion is probably, um, but yeah, and also just like an incredible premise. Like I don't know what it is, but I just like shows or books or really anything that you can just get like a blank demon or like a blank devil, like whatever it is. I just like that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a great show. I can't wait for the next season. I'm probably gonna start reading the manga pretty soon because I do not want to wait for to know what happens next. So. Um, and then the other show I watched was the third season of Umbrella Academy. I watched the first two seasons with Katrina. She's watched them and watched them and watched them. She really likes that show, and I like it a lot too. There's a lot of good things about it. Um, this season was fine. The first two are better in my memory, at least. Um, I like the premise of this season. And there was a lot going on. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. It's just some of the character stuff rubbed me the wrong way. Like Allison's story, they kind of made her out to be a villain, which is fine, but it just the way she would interact with the other characters was like, I don't know. I don't know if that actress um, is right for the role of like a really like mean person. It just comes off as very fake. I don't know. I'm being very critical of that, but I think she's a talented actress. I just think that they didn't do what was right for her character. But that big gripe aside, it was a pretty interesting season. It's dealing with multiverse type stuff or parallel dimensions or whatever you want to call the time travel stuff going on. And just yeah, just it's been a while since I've seen it, but lots of good stuff going on. Um, for the most part, I am looking forward to the next season. Um, but yeah, not much else to say besides that. I think it's a good show, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely consider watching it. From there, we'll just get into the movies. I'll try to rapid fire these. I watched Possession, which, if you're not familiar with, is this sort of strange horror film, body horror film, but also like a domestic drama. It's a very weird movie from the 80s, I believe, and I don't know the country of origin, but Sam Neill is in it, the English actor who you probably know from Jurassic Park and Omen 3. And his performance and the performance of the woman who I can't remember the name of, I'm sorry. They're both incredible in this movie. This movie is crazy. It's weird. There's a lot of strange stuff happening that I won't spoil. It's directed really, really uniquely. Some people might feel that the direction is not to their taste, which is fine. But I really love this movie. I was honestly captivated from start to finish, and I think it's incredible. I understand that it's about the director's divorce, but I feel like because it's so weird and ambiguous and so much is going on that you could really take a lot out of it. And it's a movie that I'm like continuing to think about, and I want to rewatch someday soon and maybe I'll have a more cemented idea of what I think. But and then from that masterpiece, to be honest, we go to this disaster piece, Piranha 3D. If you haven't seen this, it is one of the grossest feeling movies that I've ever seen, and by that I mean that it made me feel gross. It made me feel scuzzy and like really skeezy and dirty and disgusting. It's just it's depraved in all the worst ways. It's hedonistic in all the worst ways. It's reveling in like this nihilism of American culture, and I fucking hated it. There was almost nothing redeeming about it except for Christopher Lloyd and Ving Rhames, and admittedly the practical effects are quite good, although most of the movie is CG, I would say. So yeah, I it's a movie. This is a movie that I watched when I was younger, like high school age, and it's just like kind of, I don't know, I just think about it a lot, and I saw it on HBO Max, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it again. I'll never watch this movie again. And because of this movie, because I hated this movie that much, that same night I had to watch Jennifer's Body, which is a great high school setting horror film about this popular girl who becomes a demon through no fault of her own, really, and just how her best friend, the like kind of nerdier girl, appropriately named Needy, how she kind of deals with that and how that ends up. But this movie's great. I think the premise is really cool. I think it's well acted, well written. It does have a little bit of that like mid 2000s indie movie sort of dialogue. Think Juno. But to me that might have bothered me at some point, but like now, having seen it, it kind of adds to the experience. Like, it's very nostalgic. So yeah, I have a lot of good things to say about that movie. I do wish that they relied a bit more on the practical effects, because when they use the practical effects, like for dead bodies and stuff, they looked really good. But the CG effects, as I generally have an issue with, looked pretty bad. Following that, I watched Prisoners, directed by Denis Villeneuve, or I don't know how to fucking say his name, but that guy, director of Dune, director of Arrival, Enemy, whatever. And I'm not a huge fan of a lot of his movies. I wasn't crazy about Dune. I wasn't crazy about Arrival. I enjoy Blade Runner 2049 quite a bit, and I enjoy Enemy. And those are really the only ones I've seen, I think. So kind of 50-50 for me there. But this movie was really, really quite good. Thematically and kind of also in the story, it reminds me of Memories of Murder by Bong Joon-ho, which is just like these like overly masculine dudes are like actively harming the investigation because they're like being stupid, clouded by their need to appear powerful and that sort of thing. And so yeah, it's a well acted movie from all of the actors, including the supporting cast. Viola Davis and Terrence Howard are great, as well as Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano, Hugh Jackman. Everyone's great, honestly, in this movie. So, and that guy, what's his name? It's David something. He plays the kind of well, I don't want to say what he plays, but he's that guy who has that like very distinct looking face, very sad looking. He's been in a couple of Marvel films, or maybe just one Marvel film as the villain, or was he the villain? Oh, he was in Suicide Squad as the Polka Dot Man. It's that guy. He just has to me at least, has a very distinct looking face. I can like clock him in anything. Oh, and he's also in Dune, actually. He's Peter de Vries in Dune, I believe. But yeah, this is a good movie. I think it's one of his better movies, for sure. I don't know if it's my favorite of his or not. I haven't seen Enemy in a while, but yeah, good film. Following that, watch The Dead Zone by David Cronenberg. This was it's in a long line of Cronenberg films that I've seen, and it's in a long line of Stephen King films that I've seen. And it was kind of middle of the road in both of those regards. It was middle of the road as a Cronenberg film and middle of the road as a King adaptation. I think I have an issue with quite a bit of King adaptations as adaptations. Like The Shining, for instance, as a movie is great on its own, but as an adaptation of the novel, it's not very good. And this movie, I haven't read The Dead Zone, but I have read quite a bit of King in my lifetime. And so to me, Stephen King's novels create a certain feeling. There's certain things that I expect, and this movie didn't really give that to me, which is fine. Maybe it's trying to be its own thing. It's definitely not every adaptation has to be faithful to the book. But nothing super special. I don't think Christopher Walken is like that good of a fit for this role. I don't know. It could be just like my Gen Z bias as knowing him solely from like impression comedy, I guess, like people just doing impressions of him and stuff, and so I just don't like take him very seriously as an actor. But that's on me, obviously. So, but it was enjoyable enough. It just, I think my major issue, I'm just now remembering, my major issue was that it lagged for the first like hour, I would say, and then like it didn't seem like much of anything was happening until toward the end with like the political subplot, or not subplot, but the political side stuff happened. So also watched Brokeback Mountain. This was not a choice of mine because I'm not gay. No, I'm just kidding. I have wanted to watch this movie. I just I was never like motivated to, but Katie wanted to watch it. She's wanted to watch it for a while. It was on Netflix, and so we decided. So I let her choose, because you got to be fair in a relationship. So she chose to watch this, and I was happy to watch, even though it's a little long. And I was probably it's probably late, and I was probably going to be tired, and I definitely was falling asleep toward the end just from the length of it. But this is a great movie. This is a really good movie, and it made me think of, we were in the theater over the weekend watching a movie that I'll talk about later, and an ad for a new Gyllenhaal film came on, and it was like Academy Award nominee Jake Gyllenhaal. And we both, Katie and I, looked at each other, and we were like, he's never won an Oscar before. And then I said to her, like, if he didn't win an Oscar for Brokeback Mountain, that is insane. The only justification that Jake Gyllenhaal shouldn't have won an Oscar for this movie is if Heath Ledger also won the Best Actor in the same year, because they are so. It's honestly, they sink into their characters. A lot of the time with Jake Gyllenhaal, especially, I feel like I just see him, but in this movie, he is his own character. Great movie. Did not expect to like it as much as I did, because movies with like, to me, this has always felt like a very schmaltzy romantic drama, and in my brain at least, I'm not super into those kinds of movies. But this movie has me second guessing that maybe I need to see more movies that are like this. Then I think the following day, or maybe a couple days after, I watched Insomnia, which is a Christopher Nolan film. I'm not crazy about Christopher Nolan. I actually didn't even know this was a Nolan film until I turned it on and his name popped up. And it's a remake of a I think Swedish movie. I don't know, I say, or maybe it's Norwegian. I think it's somewhere in Scandinavia. But yeah, I similarly wasn't crazy about this. I think the premise is really good. But nothing really blew me away. It didn't do enough with the premise, in my opinion. It was all kind of straightforward and not surprising, which is kind of weird considering Christopher Nolan is, like, to me at least, is known for like very twisty, convoluted plots, like Memento and Inception and from Tenet, from what I understand, which I haven't seen. But so yeah, nothing especially surprising or engaging here, but it was decent. Then I watched Moon, and then I bought this at the thrift store. I'm gonna have a haul video coming out soon. But yeah, I watched this, and then I found it like the next day, and I bought it for pretty cheap. And this is a great little movie. It's a very clever idea. It explores interesting themes of self-reflection. And Sam Rockwell is incredible. He's playing basically every character in this movie. Um, and I enjoyed that it subverted some genre tropes. One in particular that I'm thinking of is like when I saw that robot on the moon base, I was like, that thing's evil. It's not. It's actually well, it is. It is. Maybe it is. Sorry, I spoiled a little bit, but I won't. I shouldn't say more that I'm spoiling it. But I really think this is a movie that you should go into with not knowing much. It was very enjoyable for me doing that, not knowing really much about it, other than it was directed by David Bowie's son, which I'm sure everyone mentions when they talk about this movie. And the last thing I'll say is that the sets looked really great. And it was cool to see how things are, like everything was really thought through. There was a lot of detail. Everything seemed very functional. And it just seemed very realistic to what a moon base might look like if we ever had one where someone was living like in this way, I guess. Although, what I wanted to mention about the sets look great when they're on the moon surface and they're using like I assume a green screen or just like a computer generated thing. It looks kind of garbagey, but I think that's not necessarily a thing. Like it's not the fault of the artists who did the CG. I think it's more of like they were trying to get a realistic image of the sun, of how the sun looks on the moon, where it's just like very, very bright and there's no like cloud cover or anything. So in that way, I think it looks realistic. I mean, I've never been to the moon, but it looks as I would imagine it. But it just like it gives this like kind of uncanny valley look to everything, or you can like tell it's like cut out of like you cut it out of an image and like superimpose it or something. I don't know, but yeah, great movie. Check it out. Then we watched Fright Night. I just got this recently. You can see Chris Sarandon there. This is a very fun horror comedy. What I appreciate about this movie is that they're playing it straight. They're not winking at you, really. It just all works really well. It's really occasionally very hammy, very campy, which I enjoy. And the practical effects are great. It's just a really great premise. It's very simple, but it just works. The movie is very engaging, and a lot happens quickly. Like it doesn't really stop and stop and like bore you. I feel like a lot of movies of this time were kind of stretching, to get to that 90-minute runtime, I guess. But this movie doesn't really feel that way to me. It's a classic horror film, classic vampire film. You should definitely check it out. Only two more films. We watched Knock at the Cabin, which is the new M. Night Shyamalan film in theaters. And this may be a controversial opinion, and I'll get into why, but I think that this might be my favorite theater-going experience since Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was kind of around the same time last year, actually. And the reason I say it's controversial is because I think people who have seen this movie understand how it is actually quite flawed. There's a lot of things that just genuinely seem like mistakes, like unintentional mistakes that made its way into the film. For instance, all of the news footage looks truly awful, not just from like an effects perspective, but just like it is such an odd effect. Like it feels like a TV show's idea, like when they cut to, I don't know, I can't even explain it, but just like if you've ever seen like a news broadcast on a TV show, it looks like that. Truthfully, it's really bad. But everything else about this movie is amazing. In my opinion, the acting is great. Jonathan Groff, Dave Bautista, the other husband, and all of the other like disciples, I'll call them, are incredible. The writing is great. It really gives the feel of a horror novel, which it is based off of a horror novel that I now want to read. And yeah, just a great film. I think everybody should go see this movie while it's in theaters. I saw that it dethroned Avatar 2 this past weekend, which good. It deserves it. I've never seen Avatar 2, but I despise Avatar for some reason. irrationally so. Yeah, go see Knock at the Cabin. It's great. I don't want to say much about it, but it's awesome. And then finally, Scream 5. The reason I watched this is because I saw the preview for Scream 6, going to see Knock at the Cabin, and I was like, oh, this Scream 6 looks really good. I haven't seen Scream 5 yet. I should go watch it. Big mistake. Scream 5 is pretty much garbage. It's a garbage film, except for the final act. After the killers are revealed, it's actually a fun movie. They made a fun movie somehow. Somehow the same writers and directors that had me sit through the slog that was the first hour and 10 minutes or hour and 20 minutes of this movie, they somehow made a good final act. So good on them. They pulled out a third of a movie that was passing as a good film. So yeah, not much to say. I despised almost everything about this movie except for the killer's motives, which I thought was really funny and clever, but they don't do enough with it to set it up, and so it just feels like, where did this come from? Why did they feel this way? I don't understand. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm worried about Scream 6, but I'm gonna go see it still, and hopefully it'll be better. Okay, let's get into some music now. Movies are done. It's been 20. Oh my god, it's been 20 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go fast. I'm gonna go fast. I promise. Listen to Vatican Shadow, Persian Pillars of the Gasoline Era. This is like a ambient industrial, ambient techno, I think they consider it. I'm not one for genres in this sort of ambient thing, ambient stuff, subgenres of ambient music. I'm not like super well versed in, but this is great. It is themed around the Iraq War, to my understanding, yeah, I mean, it's just really, to me, it's very unique. The industrial side of it is engaging. It's great. I put it on in the background while I read, or I put it on while I'm, relaxing or something, and it is very relaxing despite the concept behind it. So, also listen to Always, or Always, I don't know how to pronounce it, but their debut album. It's like jangle pop, dream pop, a little bit of a post-punky edge to it, I would say, and just very sweet, very catchy, very reverby. It's soaked in reverb, but just it's very good. I've listened to it a couple times in the past few weeks, and I just keep coming back to it. It's quite nice. And then following that, The War on Errorism by NoFX. If I had to, gun to my head, I think this is my favorite NoFX album. Excuse me while I sneeze. Oh, good God. Ooh. They'll do that to you. Yeah, oh my God, this is such a nostalgic album for me. Middle school and high school, I was listening to this while playing Borderlands in my parents' basement. I know the words to every song on here, basically. I was just singing along, and yeah, it's great. Skate punk, melodic hardcore. Some like certain songs in here are like weird excursions into reggae or ska music, and some are just, and most of them are just like straightforward punk songs, but with either very funny ideas or very, very political ideas. Songs like Idiots Are Taking Over, classic, and Regaining Unconsciousness, The Irrationality of Irrationality. Those are all like the very political songs on here. Not too many political songs. Most of them are really about punk music or about silly stuff. So yeah, I recommend it. I think this is my favorite NoFX album. Going into some metal, I listened to the self-titled album by Solstice. If you're not familiar, they are a death thrash, or thrash death, like they're a combination of those two genres. Band from, I believe, the 80s or maybe the 90s. And they're sort of, from my understanding, an underappreciated or an overlooked or a bit more underground in a sense than other death metal bands that get recognition from that era. But I've listened to this album about 3 times now, and it is killer. It's really the perfect blend of thrash and death metal, as you'd expect, and they even throw in a hint of punk rock to a lot of the music, which you can definitely see in the Carnivore cover. Not crazy about that cover, but it kind of solidified to me that they were coming from a punk background in a lot of ways. And yeah, I'm just glad that I'm not overlooking this band anymore, or this album. It's just great. Also listened to Forever Glade by Worm. I think I've talked about this before, but damn, just so good. There's nothing else to say. Just fucking listen to it. It's incredible. I mean, I don't need to talk about this very much, but I just thought I'd show it because I needed everyone to be reminded about how good this thing is. So yeah, go listen to it. It's phenomenal. Also listen to Those Who Fear Tomorrow by Integrity. That's the debut album from the metalcore. I don't know if they're like a band that created the genre or popularized it or what, but they were there early on, and they make great metalcore. If you are against modern metalcore, you might find something to enjoy from this album. You might just hate it all the same, but that's fine. I really enjoy it. I think there's so much energy behind the riffs. I think they're doing a lot of interesting things with rhythms, and they just kind of have like a high-minded idea about music. They have lots of nice interludes and preludes and stuff like that just add to the overall vibe. And yeah, it's just a great album. I think everyone should listen to it. And on the way home from work today, this very day I'm recording, February 6th, I listened to, I'm going to censor this, Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse. I just talked about this in my metal CD collection video, and it inspired me to listen to more Cannibal Corpse because it's been a while. And I chose this album to listen to, and as expected, I was not disappointed. This is a phenomenal release. So many great songs that I will not say the name of because you will not catch me recording myself saying the name of some Cannibal Corpse songs, but the song names I can say: Hammer Smashed Face, The Cryptic Stench, and Beyond the Cemetery, all great songs. The songs in between those songs I will not say the name of, as I said. But yeah, just figure out how ferocious these guys are. They are just going for it on this album. They are like all speed. There's a couple like not breakdowns, but there's a couple like slower parts that add to the speed when it happens, and they're just a band that are just like writing riff after riff after riff and just like throwing it all in the song. And it's like it's riff salad, but in the best possible way. So I mean, it's a classic for a reason. Can't go wrong with Tomb of the Mutilated. All right, starting to get into some dungeon synth. Just quickly marking the ones that I don't want to talk about yet. First off, we'll talk about A Walk Amidst the Cairns, not the Karens, the Cairns by Landstrakar or Landstrykar. I don't know how to pronounce it. This is like to me, it's definitely dungeon synth, but it's more like a fantasy movie OST, less synthy, more of like a orchestral in a lot of ways. And with that being said, though, it is still very enjoyable. Obviously, I wouldn't have purchased it if I didn't feel that way. And the songs are all quite long, and they really add to this epic feel that they're going to. It really feels like a fan of The Lord of the Rings, created their own soundtrack for that movie, and it just works. It just works. There may be some more copies of this at Dungeons Deep on their Bandcamp, but I think it's on their Bandcamp, but check it out. Very good. Also bought and listened to Riesenbald. I don't pronounce it. I'm just throwing a dart. This is A Lonely Journey Beyond a Horizon Lost. Sorry, this is a long-ass title. I had to look at it. Very reverby, very ambient, with strong there's some choral vocals, some strong melodies that really stick out. The songs are very slow. They take their time. They're very measured. It's just a straight up black cassette. There's no lettering on it or anything. Yeah, there's it's a very, very good Dungeon Synth release. It's very melancholic, as I would hope it for it to be, and yeah, awesome. It's awesome. Honestly, I need to listen to it some more. So check it out. That is A Lonely Journey Beyond a Horizon Lost by Reisenbout. I'm looking forward to more releases from this project. And finally, for the Dungeon Synth, we have, this is a long title, The Dead Leaves Strew the Forest Walk by Satchel Bearer. And as you might expect from the cover art there, kind of see that. This is very nature influenced. There's a lot of like field recordings of nature sounds and like steps on a hiking trail and that sort of thing. So in that sense, it's a very fun idea. I enjoy nature hikes when I can get to it. I don't do it very, very often, but I can remember like vacations and stuff that Katie and I have took where we've done nature hikes, and it's very relaxing. I would say this is it's quite a versatile release. There's lots of different moods and feels. And I would say the primary instrument you're gonna hear is a harpsichord. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's a harpsichord. But yeah, it has very good nature vibes, fall vibes for sure, and not much else to say. It's a pretty great release. I will say that it's not like the most mind-blowing thing. I'm not like clamoring about it, but it's very good. I mean, I would say you definitely can't go wrong with this one. So, all right, let's move on to some books quickly. First up, Berserk Deluxe Volume 8. This is the start of the Millennium Empire arc, and yeah, it's great. I mean, it's still great. I don't know if I need to tell you that. Berserk is still phenomenal. Sorry, I'm trying to find a page without any nudity on it. By they, I mean Kentaro Miura. He's an insane man. I don't understand how he can write a story this great and also have art this phenomenal and characters this wonderful and memorable and deep and complex, and I don't know. It blows me away every single time. I don't know when I will get Volume 9. They're quite expensive, as I've mentioned, but hopefully soon. I really desperately want to continue that. The other book I read, I've been working on this book for many months. This is The History of Western Philosophy by Bertrand Russell, who is a philosopher in his own right. This is like 800 something pages. I've been reading it for many months on and off, but I really picked up the pace in the past month or so in January. And I probably finished about 400 pages in the last couple weeks of January after having, been on and off reading this book for a while. It is very thorough, as you would expect from an 800-page book that covers thousands of years of history. It is very detailed, almost too detailed. I am a total beginner of philosophy. This is not a great beginner book, I would say. I did learn a ton. I feel like I have a much better grasp of philosophy than I did going in, but it was a little much for me just starting to get into this sort of thing. But I mean, the stuff that's in here is great. I will say also that the author is not only telling you what these philosophers believed, but also refuting their ideas and providing historical context. So there's a lot of history, especially during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. And so there were certain points for me that were kind of a slog where I wasn't super engaged because the history side of things it was really confusing for me. I think he kind of expects you to have like a baseline knowledge of the history of Western Europe and that kind of thing, but I don't. So yeah, it's a great book. I would say it's like read a couple other like beginner texts and then get into this one, and I think you'd get a lot out of it. Excuse me, I cannot speak. Okay, let's run through the board games. I played quite a bit this week. Oh my gosh. Okay, first we'll start with the Taverns of Tiefenthal expansion, Open Doors. Taverns is a game that Katie and I really enjoy playing together. It's one of our favorites. And I don't buy expansions very often, but I was just really, really excited to try and expand the game with a couple more modules. And we played with the guest room modules, and I believe one other one, but I cannot remember what it is. But it was something very minor, but that kind of changed the game enough. But yeah, so compared to the base game, what this adds is it's pretty sizable. This comes with quite a bit for what it cost. I think the game that we played, we didn't fully utilize the guest rooms to their full potential, and so it felt a little meager in a way. Katie and I both came away from it like I kind of expected more. I think that next time we'll play with more modules and kind of just up the complexity, and I think then that'll be a bit more engaging and a bit more new. But for now, it's just an okay expansion for us. Following that, we played Ark Nova for the first time. I love this game. I think it was a little much for Katie. It's a little heavy. It's definitely, I would say if it's not the heaviest, it is one of the heaviest games that I own, complexity-wise and weight-wise, I'm realizing. But in this game, you are making your own zoo. There's a fun action selection mechanism where you have 5 cards, and the longer you don't use something, the more powerful it gets, and the more you use it, the less powerful it gets. And so it just has that's very clever on its own. But then it's also polyominoes or not polyominoes, but hexes, tiles that you're laying. You're laying tiles, and you're expanding your zoo, and you're populating it with animals that do certain things or have certain requirements. It's just a very fun puzzle. I really, really loved this game. The biggest drawback, as I'm sure you'll hear from a ton of people, is this game takes forever to play. It was probably about 30 minutes to set up at the minimum, and it took us about 4 hours over the course of 2 days to play this. But I think that was just also like a lot of analysis paralysis from being beginners to this game. I would love to play this with more people, honestly. Set aside a day to do that, but I don't know if I have a friend group that would, or friends in my group that would want to do that necessarily, because this is quite an investment. But yeah, this is a great game. I would even just want to play more 2-player. But following that, we got this game, Call to Adventure, and played it this very same day, which is very unusual for us. But Katie especially, me as well, but Katie especially has been eyeing this game at our local game store for a long while, for probably like 6 months at least. And she pulled the trigger and bought it a couple weekends ago, and we played it. And I was surprised about how much I liked it, and she really liked it as well. This is a really fun game. It's a very simple mechanism. You're really just rolling these 2-sided runes and trying to do like skill checks to flesh out your character, your story that you're building. But that's the most fun aspect of this game is that you're building a story for a character, and there's going to be a different story every single time, based on the choices you make, in the challenges and the traits that you acquire. It's a very simple idea. You can play it very quickly. It's only I think we played it in less than 45 minutes, but I'm just really itching to play this again. I know she is as well. It's great, and they have a Stormlight Archive version of this game, and I might have to get that too coming up soon, but we'll see. But yeah, that game's very fun. Then we played Flamecraft. We played this with, I think, fully 5 people. It took a long time, much longer than I was anticipating. I don't know how everyone else felt about it, but I was really enjoying myself playing this with a full group. And yeah, I don't know what else to say other than, just look at the box. It's very cute. It's kind of a worker placement in a way. Contract fulfillment, just getting resources, using the abilities of the dragons in meaningful, clever ways that, it's one of those games where you're trying to maximize every move you make. So yeah, it's very fun. A lot of variability with the dragons that are being placed and where they're being placed, and so I can just see myself enjoying this game for many years. Many years. So I got locked into Porky Pig there. Yeah, great game. Then we also played, this stack is getting way too big. We also played Azul, classic puzzly tile-laying game. I played with a couple of friends. We played with 4 people. I think I got second place, which I'm proud of myself for, because my friend Rachel, she kind of dominated us a little bit. It was pretty bad at the end. I think she had close to 10 or 15, 20 points extra above the second highest person, which I think was me, if I'm not mistaken, like I said, but I could be wrong about that. Yeah, what can you say about Azul? It's great. It's a classic for a reason. I'm curious about the sequels or the other games, the spin-offs in the Azul universe, quote unquote, the Azul cinematic universe. But yeah, this is a game. I bought this game specifically to play with my grandmother. And I haven't played with her yet because she lives in Florida, but I'm gonna visit soon, and I'm gonna make her play this because I really think she's gonna enjoy herself. But I enjoy it on my own anyway, so yeah, phenomenal game. And lastly, oh my god, I got this game. It's heavy for my birthday. Tapestry, and Katie and I played it together. It is, as it says here, a civilization building game. Really, in this game, you're building a civilization, and all you're really doing is bumping tracks, as the Brothers Murph like to say. You're bumping 1 of 4 tracks every turn by paying a resource cost, and then you're getting income based on the buildings you place out. So there's a few mechanisms that are working in tandem here, and I really just love this game. I really enjoyed myself. I know I'm saying really a lot, but I really feel strongly. I really do. Katie, I think, liked it. She just liked the aspect of building civilization. She was just, as she says, she was just vibing. She wasn't trying to win. I wasn't trying to win, but I was trying to get the most points, and I did pretty good. I think I got 280 something points, which is they don't expect you, but they have a marker for 400, so you can potentially get 400 plus points. So I got pretty close on my first play, but I definitely think I could play a bit more. Play a bit more, maximize my my benefits, my resources and stuff a bit better, and just do that sort of thing. So yeah, lots of stuff going on in this game. It's quite complicated looking, but it's actually very simple. I'm excited to play again. I really want to teach this to some more friends and play with at least 4, possibly 5. I think it will take a little bit of time, but I just really enjoy it. So that's Tapestry. And that's everything. Sorry again for these long-ass videos. I constantly am apologizing at the end of these videos for how long they take, but I just have a lot to say on my mind, so sorry that I'm an opinionated person. With that being said, thank you for watching if you stuck through the whole way. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found something new to watch or listen to, or a game to play or whatever. I'm doing my best to have regular videos put out. I don't really care if people watch or not. I'm just doing this for fun. So, but yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, if you felt so inclined, you could leave a like. You could leave a comment. I read them all and I respond to them all. I would love to know recommendations and stuff like that. I'm very open to those sorts of things. And yeah, I just hope you enjoyed, I guess. Thanks again for watching, and take care.